We have Hurricanes head coach JD Arteaga. JD, if you can please start with an opening statement, and then we'll go into questions.
Well, we're about 8 games into the season. Still trying to feel things out, especially in the bullpen. Kind of some of the roles and some guys' jobs and stuff like that. So it's we got some new guys, a lot of new faces, and we knew that going in. And with that, it's going to come a lot of inconsistencies, which we've seen that already. But as the season goes, we start getting some guys back from injury. Brian Walters specifically. That's going to answer a lot of questions there in the bullpen. And then we've had some guys that have been banged up that early in the season that weren't available yesterday. So, it's a big question mark going into the season, and it still is. So, I think offensively we've shown that we can score runs at times, and just having a consistent approach and staying with our approach, I think we're going to be okay there.
JD, with the bullpen that started off well for them, I guess just kind of recently, what have you noticed as a collective group that's kind of been going wrong or not as well as you'd like?
I think we're not walking guys, which is a concern coming into the season. We are throwing strikes. We have been giving up some hits. Last night we gave up 8 2-strike hits, which is not conducive to success, right? We got to put guys away when we put ourselves in a situation to put guys away. 2-out walk definitely hurt us there in the 8th inning. As well as free passes to start off innings with hit by pitches and stuff like that. We were able to pitch around one of them, but one of them did come back to score, and I think they took one of the leads late in the game. But again, it's normal with a young bullpen. There's going to be some up and down, some inconsistency. We just got to kind of live with them right now and let them get comfortable with their roles. A lot of these guys have never pitched out of the bullpen. They've been starters their whole lives, so just coming into a game without their normal routine, it's probably tougher than anything else, is getting used to pitching on short notice.
You mentioned Brian. I guess what's his status and what role do you see for him when he is at full strength and able to throw whatever you want to throw?
So Brian threw a simulated game last Saturday, threw 1-inning simulated game, was great. He threw a bullpen yesterday on Wednesday. This Saturday he's scheduled to throw a 2-inning simulated game. Then he'll be available next, everything goes well, he'll be available on Wednesday night. Then moving forward, he's just another one of the guys. So we're very excited about him. He's looked really good. We were tempted to make him available this weekend, but I think in the big picture, big scheme of things, and in his best interest, our best interest for the season, just waiting a few more days and kind of staying on schedule is probably the best option we have. So he will not be available this weekend, but he will be available next Wednesday.
And obviously, a 12-inning heartbreaker is not the ideal way to go into a 3-game set with Florida. How do you guys kind of recuperate both literally, physically, and just mentally from a game like that?
Well, the point's always been, it's one game at a time, and whatever happened yesterday, it's over. Learn from that game, the good and the bad, and move on to the next day. Not even the next game or next series. So, it doesn't change. Who we're playing this weekend doesn't change what happened yesterday. Right now, where we're at, we lost to Florida Gulf Coast on Wednesday night, and it's not that we lost to Florida Gulf Coast before playing Florida. It's the same message, same approach we're taking to the day today. Just learn from yesterday's game and put into play what we need to do for this weekend.
With the Gators, obviously they have an All-American back, a really good Alabama transfer, a bunch of guys back, but they've also had some inconsistencies and some new faces that maybe haven't stepped up as much. Studying them, do you see some opportunities for you guys, even though you've been up and down also?
It's early in the season. I think you could go up and down every roster in the country, and you guys are seeing the inconsistencies, just getting a feel for playing together. With today's landscape in college baseball, so much movement in rosters. I think everyone's kind of going through the same thing. So we have as long as we get to play the game, we always have an opportunity. So it doesn't matter who you're playing or what they're going through. Again, a point of emphasis for us is we're playing against ourselves and compete against yourself and be the best version of you every night. It doesn't matter who's in that other dugout. So we're not going to play harder because it's Florida. We're going to take it easy because it's Long Island. It's every game is like the last game, and compete against yourself and be the best version of you every time out.
JD, before the season, you talked about your staff being able to scout ahead. That was one of the things you said about. Have you been able to do that with Florida? Has your staff been working on Florida?
It is, and as we move forward through the season, you're going to have more and more data that you can study and put together, right? Right now, it is kind of limited, the number of at-bats and number of games they've played. I mean, they only played one game that opening weekend. I guess they played 2 this week, so as much as we can, we are moving ahead and have as much information as we can get. But as the season goes, you're going to have more information on your own guys as well as your opponents, and you can put better numbers together to make better decisions.
And Taglioni's obviously a guy that stands out for them, two-way player, power bat. What's the scouting report that you've seen on him?
He's a great player. He's a great player. You got to make pitches, but that's no different than anybody else. it's a lineup like any other big lineup in college baseball. It's 1 through 9. It's a long lineup. You got to make pitches, and you can't relax. You can't take a mental break. You can't take a physical break. You just every pitch. I guess every pitch the game is on the line. And you never know. It's that run you give up in the first inning might cost you the game. It doesn't matter what inning it is. Every run counts. Every inning counts. Every pitch counts. So they got 8 other hitters in the lineup that we got to worry about. But he's a very good hitter, and they got a couple others in that lineup that we got to worry about.
With your team having so many new new pieces, young pieces that are starters, would you rather have a series like this a little later in the season, or are you just fine with it, this early?
We don't get to choose when we play, guys. Like I said earlier, Selection Sunday is not this Sunday, so this weekend is not determined. We're not winning a national championship, and we're not getting eliminated. Our season doesn't end this weekend, so it's just another measuring stick as to where we're at. Look, Florida's been the measuring stick for the state of Florida for quite a few years now, so we need to beat teams like this to get to where we want to be. So, but by no means is this going to be the end of the season, good or bad. Just like every other series, man, learn from it, get better, improve on what you got to improve on, and keep building on the success that you have in whatever area that might be.
How are you feeling about your starting pitching, and do you feel like we're going to see the same guys for the Florida series?
Yeah, it'll be the same rotation. I feel really good about those guys. They've done a good job. I think Gage had a pretty good bounce back game from opening day to last week. We feel we match up well. Rafe is such a different look from the left side, and Eric's done a great job so far as a Sunday starter. So we feel good about our starting rotation. But the starting rotation, all it does is gives you a chance to win, right? The bullpen's going to end up winning and losing every game for you. So it's an important piece to the puzzle. So we got to really kind of solidify that and get guys into their roles and get comfortable with their roles and getting their job done on a consistent basis.
8 games in, what has it been like for you with the lineup? I know you touched on that before the season, a lot of options. Just how would you evaluate how it's been? You've had a lot of guys.
Well, we had a whole week where one of your top hitters wasn't there, so that was a different lineup that you didn't plan for, right? You got a lot of different options with the lineup, so every one of those does have Blake Sear in it. So that 1 week he was out, it slowed down the process of some of the changes and some things that we're looking to do moving forward. But you saw it yesterday. I think we used our last pitcher available last night. We considered pinch running our last catcher available there in the 12th inning. We felt that we didn't have to. It was 2 outs, and he was the guy we were going to pinch run for was at second base already, running on the crack of the bat. But had he been at first base for less than 2 outs, we probably would have pinch ran for him, and then we would pretty much emptied the benches there. So, but we're still learning. We're still learning what batting order works best. Where guys, it's amazing how hitters change their approach because of where they're hitting in the lineup, and not because of who they are. If they feel they got to do more, they're hitting clean up or sixth or second or whatever it might be. So. Like everything else, we've got to find a spot in the lineup where they feel comfortable and we set them up for success as best we can.
Specifically, a catcher and shortstop, you've rotated a couple guys in as starters. Is that kind of the plan, or can you assess each position? Just because we've seen Jack a few times.
Yeah, I mean, the catching position is a little different than shortstop. I think we have 2 catchers that are pretty close in talent and what they can do on the field, one being left-handed, one being right-handed. You're probably going to continue to see some type of platooning there. At shortstop, Jimenez, I've said from the beginning, is arguably our most talented infielder defensively. It's a matter of time before he kind of takes over that role. So he's fortunate, very fortunate. He's got a guy like JD Urso playing with him every day at practice, and he's learning a lot from him. And JD's a great teammate. And JD's going to play a role as well as a player, but he's the bigger picture. I think Jimenez is learning a lot from him, and is going to really benefit him a lot.
You touched on Brian earlier, but we haven't seen Julian for a while. Was he available? And then Chris Diaz, has he been available?
So those guys have not been available. Chris Diaz has not been available. Julian has not been available. Vargas has not been available since his first time out. So surprised I got that question so late. It's as good as Vargas pitched, but those guys were not available, I think, and neither was Dreyer at that point. So we had 4 guys down, really Sunday's game and yesterday's game. So we were a little thin going in with a bullpen that not very experienced to start with. So, but I think Vargas will be okay for this weekend, and Julian is very probable he'll be okay. The other guys, Diaz and Dwyer, probably not to be available. So.
And then hitting wise, Renzo and Reyes, have they been available?
So Renzo's not. Renzo had Tommy John surgery 2 weeks ago, so he's out for the season. And Reyes right now has not been medically cleared. We'll see in the near future what happens with some tests that they're running.
Daniel Coulier has obviously started with a really great season. Just what has he done well for him to hit the ground running as a freshman?
Well, obviously he's talented. He's got talent that you can't teach. But the most impressive thing about him is his willingness to learn. He loves to practice. He loves the process of getting better. He asks great questions. He's a student of the game. And all in all, it's a great recipe for success for the ball player. That's got the God-given ability and then the ability to want to learn and get better every day. So I got no concerns with him. We knew he was going to be a great player. I think we didn't expect this so soon. But I'm not surprised by it.
I was just curious how you can help him, Blake, through what he's going through. Got him in there, and I'm sure he wants to do well this weekend. Just what's that process as a coach to kind of go through this?
I mean, look, hitting's not easy. When you take a week off, it makes it that much tougher, and going through what he went through, it's emotionally, he came up with some big situations last night that, he probably tried to do a little too much, but that's kind of human nature. Someone that's not in his situation would have done the same thing, so you compound that with what he's gone through and wanting to come back and a chance to be the hero and a walk-off. It's tough. It's a tough place to be, especially for a 19-year-old, But the only way to get back into it is by playing. So I can't say it was premature to throw him back in the lineup after one day of practice, but we got to get him ready for this weekend and next week and moving forward. So our best lineup has Blake in it, so we just got to get him ready to go.
Anything else for JD?
Coach, what is it that you're most looking forward to this weekend, with Florida coming to town, big rivalry, not only in college baseball, but in all of college athletics?
I'm looking at how my team responds to it. Again, the message is always play against yourself, compete against yourself. We don't try harder because of who you're playing or try less because of who you're playing. And I guess the ability of slowing the game down, it's an easy game, easy weekend to try to do too much. And I'm sure we're going to have a great crowd, be an electric atmosphere, but not letting that affect the way you play, just being consistently good at what we do. So I'm looking forward to see how we respond to the situation.
Maybe with Gage setting the tone as your starting pitcher, what can that do to start the weekend essentially if he pitches well?
Well, that's a Friday night starter. To me, a Friday night starter has some to do with stuff and the ability to pitch, but has a greater deal with the character, the makeup of that guy. He does set the tone. He's gonna have bad games just like everybody else, and when he does, as a Friday night starter, you got to eat up some innings, man. You can't just kind of blow up your bullpen to start a weekend. So, and he's that guy. No matter what, he's gonna compete from the first pitch he throws to the last pitch before we take him out of a game. So, but Friday night starter is just like any start of a game. But this guy started the whole series as you set the tone for the whole weekend. So it's a big role.
Awesome. Thanks, JD.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Make sure you do. You want to pump the neck now or you want to go?
Yeah, we do it now.
Yeah, now go.